Good morning. I've completed my Simon Spender tench challenge, so I've decided to take a change in venue. I'm still going with exactly the same rod setup, bait, approach, etc., but it's a pond, not a small pond, but a pond. There's no legal definition, of course. I'm getting a bite there. Looks like a small roach. I can tell from the way the rod tip's going. There's no legal definition between a pond, a pool and a lake, but I think for us as anglers especially, we tend to think of them in terms of size, don't we? I've missed that one. Mind you, I'm fishing, as I've said, with the same approach that I've had before. So this is definitely a quality over quantity session, assuming I even get the quality, of course, because the bigger fish that I'm going for are like the proverbial needle in a haystack. But as anglers, I think we tend to go for a pond as small, a pool medium, and a lake big. That's generally it, isn't it? Most importantly though, whatever we fish, however we fish, the species that we're going for even, and the approach, it's all about being focused on that particular venue, isn't it? And I am this morning. It will be a short session. I wanted to get here really early so that I could hopefully crack the code as far as the needles in a haystack are concerned. Will I get one? We shall see. At least the roach have moved in anyway, if they weren't there already, of course. Well, at least I'm not a blanker. See the mouth there? Perfect. Don't get many anglers on this particular pond, that's a fact. Lots of action, but no tench. Just small roach. I've got back home, topped up the bird feeding station. Can you hear muntjac? I don't know if he's coming out on the camera. Just distant cars, but muntjac are very, very close. When I loaded the car this morning to go fishing, there was one on the other side, the woodland on the western slope where I live. That's still on the western slope, but further down into that woodland towards the brook. Great to hear. Let me just pause talking. Can you hear that? That's a muntjac. While I was fishing this morning, having lots of small roach activity but nothing else, I was actually thinking about commercial fisheries. So I thought I'd share a few thoughts on that. First of all, you won't find me fishing them. And that's not because of anything negative, and I'll cover that in the next few minutes or so. First of all, main reason, the cost. I do fish most days. So if it's £10 to go and fish at a particular pool, that's £70 a week for me, which is £140, £280, £300 a month. For £40, I can get, and I have got, a BAA ticket, which allows me to fish 365 days of the year if I want to. And other tickets as well. I tend to go for club tickets. Some give me night fishing, some don't. But between them, I've got so much water that I can cover. So the cost is one thing for me. Then, of course, I do prefer, even though I've been on that pond today, I do prefer the challenge that it throws up. So to go there and to catch one tench is that's what I was after. I was hoping to show one to the camera. It didn't turn up. But to catch one tench would be a massive achievement. Whereas you can go to a commercial, and if they are in there because they are stock fish, you'll catch plenty. The same as carp. You can go to a commercial fishery and catch lots of carp. Whereas some of the places that I fish, you do more nights than you actually catch fish themselves. But that's personal choice, isn't it? And when you fish a lot like me, a blank or a tough, challenging session is neither here nor there. Now look at the positives to commercials, and this is why I'm not against them. You do get some anglers who really give them a hard time, the specimen specialist type fishermen. My thoughts are really, do your thing. If you don't want to fish them, don't. You don't have to put them down, do you? I think they serve a great purpose, a great role and a great function as far as fishing's concerned, because I've already mentioned, and if you follow my blogs, you know that anyway, that I fish most days, but not everyone does, not everyone can. And some people might only fish once a week, which means they do 52 sessions a year maximum. And if you are fishing from Saturday to Saturday or Sunday to Sunday, then obviously you want to get amongst the fish. I can have 4 blanks on the bounce. It's nothing to me, that's Monday to Thursday. But for the angler who only gets out once a week, that's a month gone. So you might be the sort of fisherman that wants to catch fish. Where else than a commercial? Great place to go and fill your boots. On most occasions, they're not easy. No one's suggesting you just turn up and automatically catch. But the nature of them, they are geared towards catching. And then, of course, you've got female anglers who might feel a little bit more safer in an environment where there's someone there all the time. Maybe there's a cafe, a gift shop. Some of them have diversified the commercials. So you've got more people around and they feel safer. Some of the places I go to, I don't even see a soul, well, a human soul anyway. And I fish all the way through the night and sometimes in the daytime. You don't see another person. A lady angler and even some male fishermen might not want to do that, of course. Then you've got youngsters. Not only is it a safe place for them compared to some of the more wild and remote places, but also back to the catching fish, that's what you want to do. If you're a youngster or you've got youngsters, you take them fishing for the first time. You want them to catch lots and lots and lots of fish. The size is not important. So I think that there's a role for commercial fisheries. They might not necessarily be for me. Obviously the cost factor that I've already mentioned, but also I like the challenge. I like the wild rivers, the small ponds, the brooks, the streams, the places where there's no evidence whatsoever that another angler has been there. Not that you're saying no one has ever been there in the history of the world, but you can say that no one's been there this season. No one's been there for a considerable amount of time. I like that challenge. And that's the beauty of fishing, isn't it, really? That we can all do what we want. I think there are 3 rules, and I always, without even thinking about it, try and live according to those. First of all, you don't break the rules of the water. Secondly, I'm not counting my fingers there. First of all, don't break the rules of the water. Secondly, don't interfere with other fishermen. Don't set up right next to them 3 feet away. Go in a proper peg and maybe move further along if you can. And thirdly, make sure the fish are okay. Those are 3 rules of courtesy, aren't they, that we can all employ in our fishing. But as for commercials, I do think they serve a very good purpose. I think they're important. And of course, in the beginning, I remember when we didn't have commercials, when I used to match fish with Hurstal Labour Club, became Bilston Labour Club, way back in the 1970s, there weren't commercials. And then they started to appear. They were, and this is one of the criticisms that a lot of anglers have of them, holes dug in the ground and filled with fish. But of course, over the years, many of them have matured and they've now become ponds, self-sustaining ponds in their own right. And there are places that I fish that were once commercials. They're no longer the £10 day ticket type situation that you think of, but they've now been taken over by clubs and you can fish them on your club ticket, but they were once commercials. You can see that from the nature of the pond. You can tell by going there. But trees and vegetation have taken root to such an extent that it now has more of a feel of a natural water to it. I guess the bottom line is, do what you want, as long as you're not bothering anybody else, you're not hurting the fish, you're not breaking any rules. Do what you want, do your thing, and let others do likewise. Actually, a good principle for life, isn't it, that one? P.S. And talking of muntjac, I've just been for a late afternoon stroke early evening walk down the lane where we live, and what did we spot?